Hello, my name is Dan Hall and I want to welcome you to episode 2 of Calibration TV. If this is the first time you've seen Calibration TV, thank you for joining me. Since this episode is really a continuation of episode 1 that came out last week, you might want to go watch that one first. There should be a little menu over on this side of the screen outside of the video area. And if you go there and click on episode 1, you can watch that first and then come back and watch episode 2. There's some explanations of what the show is all about, why I decided to come out with a web series like Calibration TV, and some other background information. I want to thank everyone that contacted me last week about the show. There was a lot of chatter, it seemed, about Calibration TV coming out last week. I got a lot of emails and phone calls from people. Believe it or not, one of my customers, who is now a metrologist, used to be a meteorologist, so he gave me a few presentation tips, which I'm trying to use this week. So Nick, thank you very much for reaching out. I appreciate that. My mother called and said I looked tired and I wasn't getting enough sleep. So I can't really argue with that, but thank you for watching, Mom. In episode 1, I give you some background on a great organization in the calibration and metrology community called NCSL International. I had some interviews with the president and the head of conference, and we recorded those out at the NCSL International Workshop and Symposium that was in St. Paul, Minnesota in July. This week, I want to highlight the local aspects of NCSLI and tell you how you can get involved. So later in the show, I have an interview with Jack Sompe, who discusses the benefits of membership and tells you how you can attend a local chapter meeting near you. But first, I want to show you some new equipment that I saw at the exhibitor section of NCSLI. Just kind of continue where we left off in the last episode. There are 2 products I want to show you today, and both are pressure calibrators. The first product is from Additel, and I can honestly say I've never seen anything like it before. Take a look. Hello, I'm here in the Additel booth with John Sanders, who is the VP of Marketing for Additel. John, thank you very much for being on the first episode of Calibration TV.
My
I've
pleasure.
known John for 15 years, not only working for Additel, but also working for another company, other calibration company that I'll talk about. John, for the last 2 or 3 years at NCSL, when I walk around the booths and I see all the different products, to me, it seems that Additel has some of the more innovative new product introductions. I mean, there's a lot of excitement around the company. There's a lot of growth around the company. I saw this product 2 or 3 years ago, the ADT 761, which to me was and again, I've been in pressure calibration a long time, kind of a game-changing product because of what it offers. Can you tell me a little bit about this unit?
Let me tell you my experience with it. So several of us came from Fluke Calibration or Hart Scientific. We all started out with Hart Scientific, and that was acquired by Fluke. And so some of us had that experience being in Fluke, and then we came over and started Additel. My first experience with this is when I was with Fluke.
Okay.
And so I was with Fluke. I was selling the DHI product line and the electrical line, and then the temperature stuff, which is kind of where I came from. And so I knew quite a bit about pressure. I knew about pressure calibrators. I knew how they ran. When I saw this sitting on the table, I'm looking under the table for the
rest
gas
of the
supply.
stuff. The rest of the stuff.
Where's your pressure supply for this? How can you generate? At the time it was 375 psi is what Additel was doing with this product. And so it was amazing to me. I mean, it's an engineering marvel.
I agree.
In my mind. And so we've got a range, from low inches of water down to plus or minus 1 inch of water, all the way up to 600 psi. And each one has 2 sensors built into it. Basically, a documenting process calibrator is built into the guts of this device, where you can document, you can do process instrumentation, you can do general gauges or kind of whatever.
So it's got two modules for measurement. It's an automatic controller. It's got a pump in it that does vacuum and pressure.
Yes.
So it's like as big as a toaster, as big as a bread box, as we used to say,
true,
as big as a bread box, but it's like a pressure calibration lab in a box. It was absolutely unique, and I was amazed when I first saw it. So then a couple weeks ago, I get an email from John about, we've got a new product coming out. I'm saying, well, how could it be better than the 761?
Sure.
So could you please tell me what the heck this is?
So this is exciting. This is really cool. You have this, And this is, it's not heavy, and this is very portable and you can move around.
Sure, absolutely.
But the idea is, man, could we make this handheld? And that's what this is. Now, there is some difference. This, you mentioned 2 sensors are included with this. This, we have 1 sensor. It's a removable sensor that's on the back. But this is as simple as this one here. You key in the pressure, and away it goes.
So both of these units, by the way, are actually controlling pressure. This one is sitting at 75 PSI and has been for about 15 minutes. This unit is going up to 300 PSI in the palm of your hand. Automatic control, similar function set, I would say, generally to this unit. It's got an electrical module on it, pressure control, pressure measurement, but less than 5 pounds, right? Or 4 pounds
that's right. Yeah,
in
a little
weight.
less than 4 pounds. And so the portability aspect is obviously something that's very attractive to this.
Yeah.
The modularity of the sensors, again, another attraction. So if you have a 300 PSI sensor in here, but say you want to improve your accuracy, you can put in a 10 PSI module.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you've got a 0.02% over the 10 PSI range.
Right, very cool.
And so I know a lot of thought and effort goes into both these products, and really all our products, and just really good innovative designs.
Another game-changing product. We're going to put the camera closer and do a demo so you can actually see some of the functions. So John, why don't you give me a little run-through, a little demo of operation.
Okay. So each unit comes with 1 sensor, as mentioned before. That main primary sensor is being shown here. The most basic thing done with this unit is you set the pressure and generate pressure. So everything is touchscreen on this. If we want to go, say we want to go to 200 PSI, then it'll generate pressure. You can see in the screen, just to orient you a little bit with the screen, as this is generating pressure. You've got your current measurement here, or it could be voltage. This would be what you're measuring with the process calibration portion of it. This is the pressure range of the sensor displayed there.
I'll zoom in a little just so we can see. So right now it's a vacuum to 300 PSI module that we're currently using?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I if I put in a different sensor, switched it out for one that's a lower range, say 100 PSI, it would display that there. So it's right on the front telling you this is the range you can cover. We have a little jog function here, which you can set the pressure you want for it. So say you have a dial gauge and you want to hit a cardinal point, and maybe we need to increment that a half of a PSI, for example. So now my jog pressure is a half of a PSI as shown there. If I want to go up.
So every time you hit that little arrow, it's going to bump it up by the amount of that step. So if you're trying to get a needle right on, you could just sit and continually bump that until the needle's on, and then take your reference pressure.
You get your cardinal point, that's right. Vent is here, measures here. If I want to just stick it in standby mode where it's not actively controlling. And then of course vent there. You can stick it back in control mode and it's going to go back to controlling. These are your process measurement electronics up here. So we're able to measure, source, and simulate transmitters, pressure switches, most type of electronical devices. Your main outlet is here. Then if I turn this on the side, let me show you here. We've got 2 ports, A and B, for external pressure modules. They can connect to our 160 intelligent pressure modules. And so this would allow you to really measure 4 channels. So you've got 1 channel with the electronics, your internal pressure, then 3 and 4. And where that becomes useful is you're able to data log. You could do differential off of, say, channel A and B and make differential measurements, but you're able to data log and log up to 1 million readings internal to the device.
1 million readings.
Is that enough? I hope that's enough.
I was hoping for 2 million, but that's fine. If you only have 1 million, so be it. So you can have so you could have a 300 PSI module built into the unit, and then you could plug in external modules in whatever range you buy, because you make modules from within a certain range of each one of these base units. So if this is a 300 PSI, what's the lowest module that you can plug in?
So I think on this one it's 10 PSI.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want better accuracy in lower parts of the range, you can do that either with external modules or internal modules.
That's right. Yeah. External, there's no limit. I mean,
right.
But it's not the control sensor in the external module. The internal is always going to be the control sensor.
And if you put an external plugged into the side, could you display the reading in the upper screen?
Yeah, it'll split the screen. So if we had one plugged in here, you would have this measurement, then you'd have your electronic measurement, you'd have your internal sensor, and then you'd have your external below that. And you add another one and it splits it again. One more thing to mention on this, the battery on this is removable. Let me vent that before
Good idea.
I go on and do that. Safety first. So yeah, the battery on this is removable and slides out. Battery power can be measured there, and then it can be plugged in and charged here.
Okay.
So you get about 10 hours of battery life out of this, and it's about a 4-hour charge time.
So you could have spare batteries and have them plugged in all the time, and when one goes dead, you can throw another one in, or...
Yeah.
Got it.
Very good.
Got it. Got it.
Availability, this will be available, we open orders in September. Shipments are going to be in December, 1st of December.
Okay, so before the end of the year.
So that's the plan. We're excited. We're glad to have it here.
So my wife Liz, look for a Christmas present.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a nice guy.
Yeah, romantic guy, right? Exactly. So pretty incredible, isn't it? A portable pressure controller that fits in the palm of your hand. Hats off to the people at Additel for coming out with some really great and useful products that make technicians' jobs easier. Nothing wrong with that. My wife has made it very clear that there will be no Additel Christmas presents this year, so I got that message. The 760 was just released last week, so let's take a look at some of the specs and pricing for the unit. So in this slide here, you'll see there are 3 different columns for the 3 different base units that you can get of the 760 calibrator. The one on the left, the furthest on the left, plus or minus 30 inches of water is the maximum pressure, and then you can have different modules that go inside that. The middle range one is minus 12.5 vacuum to 35 psi, and the maximum pressure range they offer is the 760-MA, which is minus 12.5 to 300 psi. So the accuracy for the 2 higher range products is 0.02% full scale. That's of whichever module is included inside the base. So you always get a module that matches the full scale range of each one of those different units. So if you buy the 760-MA, you get a 300 psi module in there, and then you can buy other modules to install internally if you need better accuracy in lower parts of the range. So 0.02% full scale for the 760D and the 760MA. The LLP, the low pressure one, is 0.05% of full scale. And some of the very low pressure modules that you can put in there, like a 1/4 inch of water, I believe, is the lowest. Those have a little higher uncertainty specification, so it may be 0.2% for the very lowest ranges. Pressure type, one of the things I want to point out about the 760MA is that that unit also has a barometer. It has a barometric module inside, so that if you put gauge modules inside it, or you have a 300 psi gauge module internal to the unit, you can do both gauge and absolute pressures. And that holds if you put other gauge modules internal to the unit as well. If you swap modules out and get 100 psi G, then you could do 100 psi G or 100 psi A, absolute pressure. That's only on the 760MA. 120% of overrange, 6-digit resolution, plenty of engineering units, different measurement units that you can use. And as it says there, barometric accuracy is 40 pascals for the 760MA module. The connection type's barb fitting, which is very common for low inches of water ranges, and it's a BSP, I think, comes natively on the 2 high pressure units. However, it comes with an adapter kit, so you can change that to NPT and also metric threads, I believe. So in terms of pricing on the 760 series, the LLP, the lowest pressure module, the lowest pressure base unit, $8,995, or about $9,000 for that unit. The 760-D, the mid-range, vacuum to 35 psi, is $69.95, and the -MA, the 300 psi unit, vacuum to 300, $7,995. The data logging and heart option is an option. It's additional for each one, $1,750. It's nice that it's an option because then you can get the unit without it if you don't use those features, or pay a little bit more and get the data logging and heart capability built in. If you want to add additional internal modules, so you can take out the module that comes installed, for instance, a 300 psi gauge module for the high pressure -MA. Additional modules, 10 psi and above, which is most of the modules, $1,495 each. And those modules below 10 psi are a little bit more. I think there's 3 or 4 of them, $1,895 for those modules. So if you're interested in one of the 760 units, as a promotion to get things kind of moving along, if you request a quote from me, I will include a free spare battery and a hose test kit that has a hand-tight quick connector on the end. Now this quick connector is just like the ones that are on all the Additel pressure pumps. That is about $700 in free accessories, not too bad. You get those for nothing just for requesting a quote from me. Say that you saw an episode of Calibration TV and let me know which models you'd like a quote on, and I will include those accessories on your quote, no additional charge. So later on I'll give some contact info how you can get in touch with me, to email or call or reach out on social media and request pricing that way. So the next product I want to show you was released just around the time of the NCSL International show, and it's from Fluke Calibration. It's called the 2271A Industrial Pressure Calibrator. Take a look at this. So I'm here in the Fluke booth at the NCSLI Workshop and Symposium with a new product called the 2271A Industrial Pressure Calibrator, which is also an automatic pressure controller. So let me give you a little demo. So the 2271 is a new style of industrial calibrator that's kind of an all-in-one, one-box solution. It's an automatic pressure controller. It has pressure measurement modules that were released with Fluke 6270A pressure controller. It also includes 2 test ports on the top for devices that you want to calibrate, so you can even test 2 at a time. And it includes a new electrical measurement module for doing 4 to 20 milliamps, 0 to 30 volts, and heart communication. So there's a dedicated button over here for connecting with heart instruments. You hit it and it goes out on the loop and tries to communicate with any devices. After it connects, it will allow you to change parameters, make trims. Over here under Heart Tasks. So these are some trim 0 values, either the current value or the process variable value, change the tags. And perform a lot of the normal maintenance routines for heart units. It doesn't replace a full heart communicator, but it does many of the tasks that would be needed in a calibration lab or instrument shop. If you are communicating with either with heart or 4 to 20 milliamps or voltage, you can run pre-programmed tasks, fully automated task routines, like this one called NCSL. And this will ramp, I think this goes in 25% increments from 0 to 20 psi. Captures the value of both the reference and the unit under test. So new to the 2271A is a hand-tight quick connect adapter, a new design that doesn't require any sealants or Teflon tape. This is just a plug that's screwing into it. It's an M20 thread on this particular one, but they have NPT and BSPs available as well. So you just take your gauge or transmitter that you would like to calibrate, screw it in, snug it down, and it's hand tight to the full working pressure of the unit, which is 3,000 psi. Integral to all the 2271As is an electrical measurement module which handles 4 to 20 milliamps, 0 to 30 volts DC, and also is where you connect heart transmitters, and it has a built-in 250 ohm resistor for the heart loop. The EMM, or electrical measurement module, is a module, so it can be taken out of the calibrator, recalibrated. You could have spares on the shelf if you want to ensure that you have no downtime. So the 2271A uses these PM200 measurement modules, which were first released about 2 years ago with the 6270A pressure controller. They don't require any tools to remove from the chassis. These are independent and can be sent out for calibration. You could have spares on the shelf. You can have more than 2 modules, obviously, in your lab, but only 2 can be installed in the calibrator at one time. However, if you're calibrating things like analog gauges, 1%, 0.5% gauges, you may only need a few measurement modules to cover your entire range. So over on the right-hand side here is an accessory called CPS, or Contamination Prevention System. This was also an accessory that was released with the 6270A controller. And the purpose of this is if you have devices that you know are prone to contamination, have liquids, oils, you can calibrate them with a pneumatic calibrator and be ensured that none of that contamination is going to flow back into the 2271A. So this is something you can buy at a later date, but you'll see over here it has a small vessel for the contamination, which you can purge any liquid in the CPS into this plastic bottle over on the right-hand side. The way it works is that it ensures unidirectional gas flow. So when you're increasing pressure, it works absolutely normally like it does without CPS, but when you decrease pressure, you'll hear some clicks. And what it's doing is venting the pressure remotely from the calibrator itself. So in this case, flow again is away from the calibrator and into and through the CPS assembly. What I like about this product is the way Fluke Calibration is building more functionality into one box, even eliminating the need for pressure tubing and adapters and Teflon tape, even by having those hand-tight quick connectors on the top. No need for a multimeter if you're doing simple voltage or current or even heart outputs on your transmitters. It simplifies the setup for the calibration technician and takes up less bench space, which is nice. Let's review some of the specifications for the 2271A. So overall, there are 21 measurement modules that can plug inside the 2271A. The lowest is plus or minus 10 inches of water. The highest is 3,000 psi. The uncertainty on these pressure modules, plus or minus 15 psig and above, is 0.02% of full scale. There are several modules between inches of water and 9 psig, which are 0.05% full scale. The absolute pressure modules are plus or minus 0.1% of full scale. The weight of the unit is about 33 pounds, so it's not light, but it would be pretty easy to put this on a cart with a gas bottle, for instance, for doing portable calibrations. It does require clean, dry air or nitrogen. It does not have an internal pump like some of the Additel product that we looked at before, but there are some small-size gas cylinders you can get and mount those on carts to wheel around your facility. The fittings are NPT, BSP, or metric threads. I believe metric threads are available. At the show, the unit that was on demonstration there had metric threads. And there's 2 test ports on the top of each unit, as you saw. The pressure set times 20 seconds for all the ranges except for the plus or minus 10-inch module, so very quick to set and stabilize pressure. Electrically, 30-volt DC input, 24 milliamps, heart communication, and it does provide loop power as part of that EMM module. Pressure types can do gauge or absolute using a single barometric module. So if you buy one of the barometric modules and install it inside in one of the slots in the 2271A, then you can take your gauge pressure modules and do any combination of gauge or absolute pressures up to the max of that module. As far as pricing goes on the 2271A, the main chassis itself, including the electrical module, is $8,400. Pressure modules, plus or minus 10 inches of water, up to 360 psi, $1,500 each. The middle range modules, 500, 580, 1,000, and 1,500 psi, are $1,800. And the 2 highest modules, the 2,000 and the 3,000, are $2,200 each. So you can get the chassis and 1 measurement module. If you're doing just analog gauges, maybe 0.5% analog gauges, you might be able to get away with just the chassis and one module for under $10,000, which is, I think, quite a value considering it's a fully automatic pressure controller. It can read the outputs of your transmitters. Pretty good value. Contamination prevention system, $3,950. If you calibrate a lot of gauges that have liquids or contaminants inside, that will ensure that they don't get in and foul up your 2271 calibrator. And if you wanted to have a spare electrical measurement module, $580 for that. You can replace that, swap those out of the units to make sure that you have no downtime, and then you can send out your other EMM module out for calibration. So I hope you agree, a couple great new products from Fluke and Additel. I mentioned last week I've got some swag to give away. Now I have some stuff from both companies. So I mentioned last week I've got some of these beverage coolers. I've got 4 of these to give away. I've also got from Additel some very cool tire pressure gauges. In fact, I've got a bunch of these. I've got 20 of them all together. So what I'm going to do is have a little promotion. Here's how you can get entered to win one of these prizes. Just reach out. Just reach out, send me an email, like my Facebook page, connect on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn. That's all you have to do. If you look underneath this video on the website, there's a little button where you can get notified for future episodes. If you click on that and put in your email address, you'll be entered to win. If you did any of this last week, I'm going to include from when the first episode was released, and I'm going to wait a week after episode 2 is released. So if you did this last week, don't feel you have to enter again. You're already entered. I'm even going to take 2 of these pressure gauges. I'm going to put them in each one of the beverage coolers. So might as well get my money's worth out of the shipping. So speaking of free stuff, I have another promotion I want to discuss with you from Fluke Calibration that started on September 1st. It runs until December 31st of this year. Fluke has had a couple different versions of this promotion over the last year. This latest one has some really great gifts though. Here's how it works. The new promotion is called the Accurate Power of Fluke, and there's 7 different spending levels. The more you buy, obviously, the better the gifts are for each one of the spending levels. What I like about this new promotion is there are iPads available for the top 3 spending levels, which I think is a pretty cool giveaway. If you spend $10,000 or more, you get an iPad Pro. I don't know if you've seen the iPad Pro, but it's like a laptop computer. It's really nice. The list of qualifying products has a lot of items you might be buying anyway, so things like temperature probes, dry well calibrators, several different pressure items, including the digital pressure gauges and some of the industrial deadweight testers. So why not get something for free if you're going to be buying some of these things by the end of the year anyways? You must place an order with an authorized Fluke distributor. Yes, I am one of those. So when your items ship, here's what happens. You request a quote from me, you place an order. When the items get ready to ship, I email you a copy of your invoice. You attach that to a form that you fill out for the promotion, email that over, and then 6 weeks later you get some free stuff. So it really is that easy. A bunch of my customers took advantage of this over the last 6 or 8 months and got some great stuff. So I hope you'll take advantage of it as well. If you'd like more information on the promotion, send me an email or give me a call. Let me know which items you might be interested in and would like a quote on, and I'll get you a quote over to you right away. So I'd like to finish up today's episode with some information on how you can become involved in NCSL International. Watch this interview from the workshop last month. I'm here with Jack Sompe, who is Vice President of Marketing for NCSL International. Jack, can you tell me a little bit about the local aspect of NCSL International?
I'd be happy to. NCSL International is a group of scientists, engineers, technicians who are involved in measurement, and there's thousands of them in the US and North America. It stretches all the way across the world, and we're lucky in our organization that we have participation not only in the Americas, but also have participation in Asia. We have participation in Europe. We have a variety of groups, and we want to get the messages out to those people because not all of them are able to go to our annual symposiums and workshops or tech exchanges. So we try to have local events in every location or every region or section, as we call them, several times a year. Our goal is every 6 months to have a local meeting. And in the local meetings, there'll be a group of maybe a few, 10 or 20, typically 30 to 50 or even more, where they come together and they talk and discuss amongst themselves the issues and their needs. They hear from subject matter experts on a wide variety of topics of how to do different tasks or what new requirements might be emerging in industry or new ways of approaches. So it's a way of getting the science of metrology down into the nuts and bolts, the working measurement specialist. You could even call them the blue-collar people of the industry who do their work and do it on a great quality day by day. So we try to do that and give them a chance to come to a meeting that locally that they're not able to take advantage of our national or international conferences. So we give them an opportunity to come together that way. We also have a very important task of distributing good quality information of what's going on in our industry and what new developments have been made. And we publish some magazines several times a year. We have a magazine that's called Measure and a magazine that's called Metrologist. Mm-hmm. Measure is a magazine that is a professional peer-reviewed document that has the latest information that's been selected as interesting areas of techniques and technology. The Metrologist is sort of a quarterly newspaper, so to speak, mm-hmm. going 3 to 4 times a year to the organization, talking about news and events, what's going on in different areas. So it is the modern way of getting general information, who everyone has an interest in, out into the group that makes a difference, the people who are doing the job. So we have a very good team that creates these magazines and news articles and documents the technical papers to go out and give the information to as far and broad reaching audience as possible.
So many thanks to Jack Sompe for taking time at the show to do that interview. Something really important that I'd like to point out. You do not have to be an NCSL member to attend local chapter meetings. Everyone's welcome. You can come and meet some other people from the industry locally around you, different companies that work in the calibration and metrology field. You can hear some great presentations. Usually you can get a pretty good lunch as well. So don't be discouraged. Don't not go to a meeting because you're not yet an NCSL international member. Please go reach out and go to a local chapter meeting. September and October are very active times for local chapter meetings, so visit the NCSLI website, click on the regions link and find out when your local chapter is meeting. Also, please look into NCSLI membership. They have several different membership levels. Go to the website, click on the membership link at the top of the page and take a look. Well, I think that about wraps it up for episode 2 of Calibration TV. I want to thank Roger, Paul, and Jack for doing interviews with me out at the NCSL Workshop and Symposium. I want to thank Linda Stone for her help with photos from the Workshop and Symposium that we used in both videos. Please don't forget to connect with me on social media for a chance to win some of the Fluke and Additel giveaways. Episodes should be out every month, so look for another one in October, and please sign up for the email list. Down below this video, there's a button you can click and enter your email address, and that will make sure that you get notified on new episodes. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next month.